What moment in an argument made you realize this person is an idiot and there is no winning scenario? An old roommate of mine was trying to say we were blackmailing her when we were asking her to take out her trash, etc. She said watch the Lizzie McGuire movie, there's blackmail in there, and it's obvious that's what you're doing to me. I believe it goes without saying that she never cleaned up after herself, nor did she understand that movie. Coworker would constantly preach against moss, parabens, only use oils when sick, etc. She told me I was going to get cancer from my deodorant, and the corn I bought was mutant. Then she'd go outside and smoke 3 cigarettes every 2 hours. Edit. Thanks to whoever gave me the silver. I've only been on Reddit a few days and didn't expect so much reaction to a random comment this morning. That being said, this one comment has brought me a flurry of insults and angry messages. It's funny how one off-the-cuff observation can send people into a tirade. I know the internet is full of toxic people, but I really hope to engage in some good conversations on here. Guess not. It's been fun, but bye bye Reddit, you are too scary for me. P.S. If I'm getting this kind of abuse for this comment, I can't imagine what you all who actually post political opinions are getting. Good luck you two. When I was arguing with someone about why milk doesn't go in first when making a cup of tea, a very English debate, and his argument was, when you add boiling water to cold milk, you're warming it up, but when you add cold milk to boiling water, you're cooling it down, and I don't want cold tea. I tried to explain how the end temperature will be exactly the same regardless, but he was already celebrating his self-awarded victory. Someone who is dating my roommate considers herself to be environmentally conscious. She claimed that napkins were bad for the environment and they increase one's carbon footprint. She ranted about it to me in my own home, even though I don't even buy napkins. Maybe a week or so later, she noticed I use a reusable coffee filter and berated me for not using disposable paper filters. I told her that using a reusable filter cuts down on the amount of waste that we produce when brewing coffee, so not only do I not contribute to filling up landfills with paper filters, but I also save money from not buying them in the first place and just cleaning the plastic one. She told me that, since paper filters are biodegradable, there is no reason for me to refrain from using them. But napkins are made of paper. Napkins are made of paper. She literally just wanted stand on a soapbox and hear herself talk. She derives pleasure from telling others that they are wrong, regardless of whether or not they are actually wrong. There is no winning an argument with her. He had an aversion to Stephen King. Thought Stephen King only wrote gory trash with no redeeming value. That everyone who reads Stephen King had mental issues. And his favorite movie was The Shawshank Redemption. Even after I showed the credits both on IMDb and Wikipedia, he refused to believe that degenerate Stephen King was in any way, shape, or form involved with his dearly beloved film. We had a new assistant at work who was not fitting in with the team. I sat her down and talked to her about expectations and reviewed the responsibilities of the position several times. In one last effort to help her, I thought I'd see which parts of the job she liked. I asked her, what skill do you think is your strongest skill? And she said, delegating. A co-worker went on a rant about how all teachers are lazy and only work from 8 to 3, while taking loads of holiday time, while doing minimal work. I come from a family of teachers, so I could see the time put in at home, the lost weekends, the days of doing work till 7 p.m. The last 2 weeks of every summer holiday spent in school prepping the classroom for the next year, buying materials out of their own pocket, because the school budget wouldn't cover it. My co-worker's response, well, I'm a parent, so I know more about it than you do. I nearly flipped my fucking lid. Ended up being a win-win situation. After a week of constant arguing and telling my now ex-boyfriend, and telling him in no uncertain terms, that we are over, he came to me one morning and said, well, if you don't want to work on this, I don't think we should be together anymore. I just agreed. People who say stuff like okay, that's your opinion, but I have my own when discussing about objective facts, like science issues, meaning of words. Edit. A lot of people seem confused with my wording. I'm adding a couple of examples of what I mean. Science. Water boils at 70 deg point C. That's my opinion. Words, in my opinion, the Spanish word hala means dog. So basically, facts which are either true or false, and not open to opinions. Edit 223, spelling. A discussion with someone about the process of getting a license. Obviously they didn't have one, and didn't believe that you had to do a 5-hour driving class to get one. The moment came when they tried the whole you can't always believe stuff from the internet, and we are just like A, you jump on pretty much any conspiracy theory you find on the internet, and B, we're on the fucking DMV's website. They seriously still didn't believe it, and tried to go the whole you gotta use Google to win arguments route. Edit for clarification, I'm from New York, and I'm very aware that laws are different in other states, and that they have changed over the years. The thing is, we were talking about the laws in the current year, and he refused to believe the DMV website, just because it was a website. Also, I'm not saying that you don't need driving practice, you need 50 hours, in I. When she kept trying to change the subject, every time she realized she was wrong, I stayed with verifiable facts. She went all over the map, bringing up shit I did like 5 years ago. You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. Well, you burnt that craft dinner that one time. You didn't read those instructions, did you? Who the hell burns craft dinner? You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. This friend of mine was always late when we wanted to hang out. Sometimes she even cancelled last minute, 10 minutes before the time we were supposed to meet. I once made a joke saying we all knew she was the worst when having to meet her because she was so unorganized and cancelled so many events. A few days before she was leaving for college we were meant to meet, so I arrived late knowing she was going to be anyway. Waited for her for about an hour or so, but it was the last day I could meet with her, so I didn't mind that much, and I asked a friend to wait with me. I received a message 1.5 hours later saying, I'm not coming, and don't even bother be asking why. I don't have to justify when I arrive later. That day I realized she wasn't worth it, because yes, I deserve an explanation when waiting you for almost 2 hours. This whole thread brings to mind a quote I've always liked. Arguing with stupid people is like playing chess with a pigeon. Eventually the bird with just shit on the board knock over all the pieces and strut around like it's won. One of my many stories from working in a discount shoe store. Woman with 3 boys under the age of 12 come in. Woman goes up to the counter. Woman, I need to exchange these shoes in for a different size. Me, okay, let me get that started for you. Normally we can exchange shoes in for the same model just in a size up or down. It's pretty common for parents to buy shoes underestimating how much their kids have grown and come in for a bigger size. Anyway, I open the box. The shoes are completely trashed, toe blown out, the sole is peeling off, and they smell to high heaven. Me, ma'am, I'm sorry, but I can't make an exchange for these shoes. Woman, well, why not? Me, I wouldn't be able to wrestle them, but I think we still have this style if you wanted to purchase a new pair. Woman, why can't I just exchange these shoes for a bigger size? Insert store name here has always let me exchange shoes when my kid grows out of them. Me, UHM. Ma'am, I'm sorry that someone has told you we do that, but that's not a policy we have. I can return or exchange shoes that are in good enough condition to be resold, but I can't resell these. Woman, other stores have let me exchange them. Me, which store have you done this with? Woman, can I speak to your manager? And that's when I knew there we no winning with this bitch. When they were claiming all the facts I presented about the earth being round and older than 10,000 years was fake. A month ago I honestly believed people were just taking the piss when talking about flat earthers, but now I'm scared for our planet's future. When my SIL told me that liberals in power, last administration, were using cell towers to burn the soles of the feet of registered Republican voters, like cell towers were some sort of sci-fi weaponry that could tap into the voting database and then laser target individuals. When I told her this was science fiction, she insisted it had happened to her. Or, same SIL tried to convince me that during his first term in office, Obama had visited a hospital where a series of late-term abortions had failed, in that the babies were born alive. She said that doctors had put the babies into a supply closet to wait for them to die, and that Obama had stood guard at the door Just, what do you say to that? Sometimes the idiocy is so strong that you just have to not bother making an effort as an act of self-preservation. When my ex-girlfriend would get drunk and bring up something I had no idea was an issue, me not being emotional enough, spending too much time playing video games, etc., I quickly realized she didn't want to actually discuss or hear what I had to say. She just wanted to freak out and tell me how bad of a person I was. My best friend knows I'm headed into the military, and he keeps saying, have fun in the army. I tell him I'm enlisted to the Navy. I know, isn't the Navy part of the army? We had a back and forth argument that the Navy is part of the military and army is a separate branch, but he insists that the word army and military have the same meaning. The concept of free will is an illusion that the Jews that run the internet and the world have created. How do you know? That sounds a bit fishy, man. I read about it online. I have found the truth. Can you send me those links? No, you have to find the truth yourself. It also did not help to point out that the Jews that apparently ran the internet must have known their secret was out on their internet. Back when I was 10 or something, my older sister yelled at me for swearing. I was not swearing. IWA, just yelling really loud. Probably shouldn't have been, but whatever. After I point this out, she continues to tell me that yelling and swearing are the same thing, and in order to prove it she whispered, fuck. I wish we weren't related. I'm not sure what the exact issue was, but the guy asked me about whether or not I knew why something was done in the way it was done. Like, what the reasoning for the method was. And I knew the answer. He presented me his own answer, which relied on certain things that were not very accurate, and you could tell that he worked on that theory a while, and this must have been the reason. I debunked it very quickly and gave him the actual reasoning. You could see that he understood it, but didn't want to throw his well-crafted theory away like trash. So he tried to argue his theory and the actual reasoning somehow. It got really weird. Finally I looked it up on my phone, and he still thought that his theory must also have played a role, which was just wrong. I had a similar situation just yesterday with the same person. Was about basically how weather moves, as he has no scientific background whatsoever, which he said, and which was the reason he asked for an answer. I wasn't that sure, but I did my best in providing a physically accurate answer based on the data we had. He started arguing about it and brought on his own theory again. This time it wasn't crafted over years of thinking about it, but on the spot. Again, he stated himself that he has no idea. How can you argue about something if you say and know you don't know anything about it? I was in an argument with someone who believed there's a cure for cancer, but pharma makes more money from treating it than curing it. I work in cancer research, so I could go on for days about why that's rubbish, but instead I just asked, Patrick Swayze died of cancer. Was he not beloved enough for the cure? Steve Jobs died of cancer. Was he not rich enough to buy the cure? Ted Kennedy died of cancer. Was he not politically influential enough for the cure? Her response, well, I just believe what I believe. You're not going to ever change that. I wouldn't say she's an idiot in general. She's actually someone I really like and respect. But in this particular situation, she was clearly an idiot. In class we were discussing what would happen if his son disappeared, and this one girl said we would all fly off the earth. I told her the earth has its own gravitational pull, and she just said no, it doesn't. So I said, do you know what gravity is? She says yes. I say it's the force that pulls you to the ground, right? She says yes. So I point out the window to the sun and say if the sun is up there, then I point to the ground, how does it pull us down? She says I don't know, but it just does. Stop trying to make me feel dumb. I saw this in a YouTube video once about what would happen if the sun disappeared. I just walked away. When he told me that climate change was because of magnetic north moving up to 20 miles per day. Of course, when the tilt of the planet changes, you're going to get more sun and do up more heat. But people want to believe it's my car. Fucking hell. Oh, this guy was good for a twofer as well. I don't try to argue politics. I present his party of choices, values. People can choose to agree with me or be wrong, but I won't argue with them. This after listening to him badger someone for nearly an hour straight. I fix guns. Guy has a problem with his gun. Says he can't hit broadside of a barn, and showed it to another guy.
and so he thinks he has a problem. Okay, check it out for mechanical problems, no issues. Next, go out and shoot it. Groups about a fist sized group at 10 yards. Not amazing, but standard combat group. Show him the evidence. Starts talking about how he never said anything about accuracy. Guy is full of it. No matter how many times I explained how guns work and how I showed him his is fine, he wouldn't believe because some guy told him it isn't. Go through a long thing about what he would consider good and acceptable. That if it shot well, functioned properly, but had this rattle noise, would it be acceptable? Nope. It could jam every other shot, and as long as it didn't rattle a little he would be happier.